Um, looks like
Hello, everybody. We're waiting for our other app to
waking it
uh,
up.
to
Looks
begin.
like all right. We're officially live, Jake. Good morning.
Good morning, Kurt, and welcome everybody to another episode of Making Turbo Pit Fighter. This is a post-apocalyptic comic, but it's also a podcast where we're documenting the creation of it, step by step, drip, 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 ever so slowly. By the way, the dictionary definition of tableau is a group of models or motionless figures representing a scene from a story or from history. So
I
we
think
got
that
to come up with
works.
we got to come up with a different name for the turbo tableau because we have
uh,
separated boxes. It's more like a visual index or something. But guys, we're going to have an exciting segment today where we're going to reveal what we were calling the turbo tableau, and it's all a lot of the main characters in the prequel stories and the turbo world, which gets you to the point where everything is a post-apocalyptic disaster or mega-apocalyptic disaster. We're also going to be revealing some new sketches that I did, and we have a sketch that Ken Lindro did when we commissioned him to do a turbo pinup. And I think Kurt is going to. What are you going to be showing them, Kurt? A pencil rough?
no, it's actually it's the real deal. We got Ken Landgraf has a YouTube channel, which if you just search Ken Landgraf, I'll also put a link down below. But he's one of my favorite channels right now when it comes to comics. And he records about 10, 12 minutes of him inking. Let me try to here, and then here we go. Come on, wake up, wake up.
Right. And for people who don't know, sorry, I was off cam.
Here he is.
I was
Here he
just.
is.
Oh,
This is our main man Ken. He's inking on his is on his channel, his YouTube channel. It's just a couple seconds. I love watching him work. I mean, the basics. I mean, can you imagine if Jack Kirby and just everybody that we love just spent like 5 minutes showing us
the process.
the process of their work? I'm gonna show it one more time. I just
Right. If Jack, well,
it's just a madman.
if Jack Kirby was alive today, forget it. You know, he would be on Twitch and he, doing 4 titles a month. He would be nonstop on Twitch and have everybody eating out of his hand. But yeah, Ken Landgraf, for people that don't know, he's a veteran yeoman comic guy, and we once showcased this when we were doing our Comics That Influence series. Um, he's the master of Zipatone, but he's been in the game for a long time. Look at this! Wow,
God, look at yeah. That's on my wish list. Is that
this is
series of
six
books?
six
Those
six.
things are expensive right now.
Oh yeah, I don't know how I ended up with this, but yeah, really good sequential art. Just he fits right in. Look, when he's doing his like sequential pages, this looks like Michael Golden, Frank Brunner, like all the guys, all the top guys. But now he's settled into like this, this commission business, and anybody can look him up.
He's
I think he's on. Where does he prefer people to go? Does he have a website or does he have a eBay? I know he's on eBay. You can commission it on eBay. This is
you
not.
can, but you can get him through his email. I don't know. I can't. Yeah, I mean his email. That's how I got a hold of him. I'm trying to remember how I got a hold of his email. But he's out there. If you want to contact me, I can give you his email. He's I've commissioned him for Crom the Barbarian work.
Yeah.
I have from my original Crom, 140 pages of black and white sword and sorcery goodness. There is a virgin cover version of this collection, Ken Landgraf, and then I just recently um, commissioned him for a 4-pager of Crom and one of his druid friends doing a dungeon dive. So and you we've been going off and on off the air about getting some support from some other creatives, and because I was just so fresh off of commissioning and working with Ken, I think I finally convinced you to pull the trigger and get a pin up at least, and then you're even thinking of a 6-pager from.
I am. Well, I have that art fund from last year, and it's just about the amount of that I would need to commission Ken for a 6-pager. So um, I'm considering that, but I would definitely need to write the script first, and I have an outline for the script, but I have to. I want to make it bulletproof because if you're doing internal pages or 6-page sequence, you could really develop a chapter of a story that way. But yeah, Ken Landgraf, great. So we are not showing the final piece until a future episode, right, Kurt? Yeah. So
you don't even have it yet. You don't even have. Are you picking it up from him at IC3?
Yes. We're supposed
cool.
to talk about the 6-pager and the potential, but yeah, I really want the 6-pager. I was hoping to get the 6-pager to be the Casualties, which is Esoterra, Hellclaw, and Elevena. So and Prometa. So I would have to, obviously provide character designs and stuff like that, and that's what I want to ask. But yeah, we'll be showing you the finished Turbo pinup from Ken Landgraf next week, I guess, and or we're actually not here next week. Do you want to talk about next week? We'll be at the convention, so Kurt, our plan is to post an episode that we're going to pre-tape, right?
Yeah, we're gonna tape something right after this, and then I'll put it on schedule. But yeah, we will be. I will most definitely be driving home by now, and that's a good haul for me coming to and fro where I'm at to where the show's at. So, but yeah, we're gonna also that following week have somebody on as a special guest. Who we will be seeing at the show. I have to ask him before, but I don't think he's going to have any problem jumping on with us that following Sunday to kind of just give a rundown on the experience of this is our first time going.
Yeah, you can bet we're going to have a lot of special guests after the show in the week following after the show, because we're going to go around this con going like, oh man, do you want to do the pod, and and then scheduling it up. So that's coming up. If folks are wondering what we're working on, I'm doing the last panel of page 23 of Turbo Pit Fighter #2 pencils. I still have to go back up and do some dialogue here that I haven't black penciled, but all my blue pencils are in, and now I'm just black penciling my blue pencils. I have this last panel here where check this out. I have this last panel here where Sister Ray, who is the head mistress of the convent and orphanage and brothel that is about to be self-destructed. She's going to bring down these curtain rods that are full of radioactive peas, and she's got these other peas in here which are already starting to like shimmer. But when she swats them down, it's going to cause this mushroom cloud, and she's going to be taking all of these attackers with her, all these military attackers with her, and the orphanage staff, all the nuns, all the the nun escort nuns, whatever. But we shall be bathed clean. So hear me, sisters. We now complete our sacred mission of mercy, of love. This house shall not be desecrated. We shall be bathed clean. All now meet salvation in God's radiant fire. And by that, she means radioactive. And then she's going to come swat down these things. But I'm like, I'm vacillating on the sound effect here. I had it SWAT in real big letters going across the middle here, but I'm rethinking squat, because what would it sound like? You know, it might be more of like a kaflap or a kaflam. So these are the questions.
You are superior with the sound effects, and I might also add a master at integrating it into the story. I mean, the flow of your stories and those sound effects it's always been quite a treat, Jake. Always been quite a treat.
Right, SSK and then a big K and then SWAT. I like SWAT in there because it's descriptive as well as onomatopoeia. But try to spell that one. But yeah, what about before? Because this is it implies that there's like a quick little like wind thing, like you know, like swing, right?
Right, right.
Maybe yeah. So maybe I should do SSH and then Kashwat. Squat. I don't know. It's got, you see, this is what I paint over, and it doesn't. It hardly matters. Um, Kurt is doing. Kurt's not on a Turbo internal page right now. Kurt is finishing up a two-pager that we were invited to do for by Alex Turbin of the Funk zine, and this is probably going to be issue 2 or 3. I'm not sure, but we created a two-pager featuring Chromita, the Shebot that built herself, and on the second page, so anybody watching now, you're getting a free sneak preview, and then on the second page, we're showing the casualties, which is a team made up of Chromita and Esoterra and Hellclaw. And then it just kind of ends there. So obviously more explanation is needed. And that's why I was hoping and praying that we could make the 6-pager that we're commissioning from Ken Landgraf, hopefully, those characters in a quick little situation where they're rescuing a kidnapped girl from an airport bathroom, and you know, there'll be just action sequences, and you know, the one thing I'm worried about is like, does Ken, you know, will Ken balk if I say like, here's 3 characters in this thing? You know, maybe he just prefers doing one character going through action sequence. So that's what I'm going to be asking him. Also, I need bad guys, so that's even more characters. And you know, I would understand if he would be like, "Look, man, you know, this is a 6-pager, but you're throwing like
Yeah,
5, 6 characters at me."
yeah,
You know, I don't know about that. So I could
yeah.
understand. If that's the case, then we'll just have to retool, and we could very easily make it a 6-pager about one character, including the 6-pager that we already have sitting there, written for Pitch Blend. I would be fine if Ken wants to do that too. But we'll see. We'll get a sense of what his where his creative juices are, and you know, like, God forbid people talk in person nowadays, right? Because when you're emailing, you got to write everything out and think everything out, and when you're texting, it's like, you know, you don't get the vibe, and you don't get the emotion, the feeling, whatever. You people know what I'm talking about. Um,
Well, we're
so
also going to get him a copy of the teaser. So I've already earmarked one of the teasers. So, you know, he's going to. I think the biggest thing, and you know, you and I have been talking about this, is, you know, the immersion of Turbo's world, the vastness when you're watching us, you know, drawing and talking, can have, I think, a sensitivity of a bit confusing, or just sort of, you know, not quite like, because we don't have any materials out there other than these teasers, which are the first 12 pages and some Substack material, you know, for Doom Mags. I just don't want us to kind of ramrod somebody with, you know, the expectation to, you know, fit in. You know what I mean? And I think that is kind of a concern that, you know, we're definitely dealing with. You know, because we only do this on Sundays, and we just need to find time to not only make the pages and work the stories out and stuff, but also start integrating people like we've been, we have been saying. So, you know.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm hoping. You know, that I see at the ICCC con, the ICCC in Indie Comic Creators Con, is that I hope I see, like, you know, people trading off, like, I'll do something for your world and you do something for my world, and you know, it's more than a pinup. Let's say, like, you know, people are collaborating, like, hey, I'll co-write that with you, or I'll, you know, ink over your pencils, you know, and then there's like a give and take, because, you know, all the creators, we all have our own world. We all, you know, think that we're, you know, we got the inside line on the, you know, the next big megaverse or universe, metaverse, whatever. And you know, the reality is, like, we all have characters, we all have ideas, and you know, sometimes someone says, "Oh, that's a cool character and everything," and you know, I'll do a thing for your world, you know, but you know, you know, what's the agreement, right? Is there a, you know, tit for tat, or is there a page rate, or is there a, you know, a promise of a future royalty if anything pops? You know, there's all those kind of things, and folks, anybody can write anything down on a piece of paper, and two people can sign it, and you know, that's contract. You know, that's a contract, and you know, there are laws that govern it. Although I'm not sure who's enforcing the laws nowadays. We got criminals in charge, and New York's mayor is like, Andrew Cuomo is running. I thought he stepped down in disgrace. I don't know. So we you know, we just make the stuff, and then you know, the business end of it, you know, sometimes it's distasteful. You know, you have to fill out forms for your taxes, you have to have receipts, you have to do all this stuff, and you know, can't people just create their stuff, and can't we just create our stuff, put it out there, you know? Why can't we give our nice
Well, you made a statement. You made a statement a couple episodes ago where you were like, or it might have been a comics that influence, where you made the joke of like, "Wow, I just can't wait till you know, you and I, you know, you and me, Kurt, you know, we're we're in a legal battle, you know, over
right.
something that has to pertain
Yeah, I said that would be amazing. I said that would be
to."
amazing, because that means,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
there's a pot of money to go after. Great. Um, you know, but in the meantime, like, you know, it's, I just call it like the vanilla ice theory. Um,
Yeah.
you know, because he was famously asked, you know, why didn't you clear the rights when you sampled Queen, you sampled the Rolling Stones, you sampled David Bowie, and you just put them in your raps. You put it out. You told everybody you had cleared it. You hadn't cleared anything, and he said, I figured I'd cross that bridge if, you know, when
Yeah.
and if I get there. So
He didn't think he was going to be anything.
right. I mean, he's still better off than being a nobody, but I'm sure he had to pay dearly for not doing that. So, you know, because once it's out there, the other party has you by the balls. You have to pay
Yeah.
them, and there's no negotiation. It's like, all right, how much did you make? That's going to be subpoenaed, and you're going to have to show that, and then they're going to take.
Well, a judge is still going to come in and make a final decision. You know, and there
Right.
are, you know, there's, you know, the basic part is like how you know, you using somebody else's work as, let's say, just a leaping off point or something to help, just like make a little bit of an expansion on, you know, character design or something like that. You know,
Yeah.
that's that's
Right.
that's that's
Modification.
where, yeah, that's where somebody's going to be like, well, you didn't spend the 5.5 years meeting every Sunday to make this thing, but
Right.
you did contribute at this very, you know, so, you know, reasonably, let's look at it for blah 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 blah. Gavel goes down, you
Right.
know,
What is
check is
precedence of other cases, all that. I would love if we could have your friend on, who's in the industry, because you know, we're going to make an announcement about putting something out in the near future, and we you know, and for everybody, just for the educational purpose of it, you know, to know, what is it like when you're dealing with a public domain character? What is it like if you're working with something synthesized from a public domain character? What does it mean when you're working with somebody who's alive? What does it mean when you're working with somebody who's dead? You know, all these questions. So it would be great. I don't know if they can answer all those questions, but I'm sure we could
Well,
learn a lot
the
from.
thing, the thing I always end up in conversation with, my legal reach out is, it's there's two things faceted. Have you done the due diligence of recognizing all parties that have some sort of legal claim? But the second thing is sort of it's like, how worth it is it? You know what I mean? Like, are you willing to invest in something to try to bring it to a move? You know what I mean? Like, so there's layers, I guess, is what I'm trying to get to.
Oh yeah, well
Putting a little silly comic book out, or a zine, is really kind of maybe even better to call what we do. Just is not. There's not a lot of meat on the bone.
it's complex. There's complexity there, which goes without saying, because
Yeah,
any
there's no
business.
blanket statements when it comes to legally doing X. Like, that's what people have to realize. We're also not attorneys, or we have no
Right.
understanding per se. We have a huge respect, but yeah, I mean, we have a project that's going to be coming down the road, and it will be passed before this individual that I work with. But we have to do all the legwork. That, just so you know, Jake, it's not
Yeah,
we
of
just get
course.
the for we I mean, it's just, it's very important that we understand all of the parameters that we're reaching out to. And then legal basically comes back and says, well, you want to think about this and you want to think about that. It's because this is where it comes down to. Anybody can sue anybody in this country for any reason.
So yeah, right. But
You
you're
know what I mean? Like, people could claim ownership of something, and everybody knows they don't, but you could still get thrown into a legal battle, which, a lot of reasons that happens is because somebody's just looking for a settlement outside of court. So
right. I mean, it's the thing where sometimes they just make you spend some money. They might not even have a strong claim, but they can tie you up in court, and they could do the ride the bicycle, stall tactics. They could bring something to court and then just drag it out, so that you have to keep paying your lawyer every time they need an appearance or a reply. I have a quick anecdote. My mom was a fashion designer, and Kurt, check out this photo I came across. I was going through her stuff. So this is one. This is something that she designed,
oh, cool.
and it was like
Where's that from?
well, this is an original 8x10 photo of a model that my mom hired or worked with in some way, and she was making these mandala briefs, and these were like skin tight, stretchy briefs. This was in the late 70s, early 80s, and this is a very cool idea. She also had this on a top, like you could get this on a like a dance skin, like dancer's top with the mandala straight in the middle on the chest. And that was her biggest seller. That was in Cosmo. She did like 60K mail order, like when that came out in Cosmo. But she had the same idea to put this here on the brief, and this was a super idea, right? My mom was just like this hippie that was up in Woodstock. We were up in New Paltz, and she came up with these things. And then the next thing you know, she knocked on a few doors, and she became pretty close friends with Helen Gurley Brown, who was the editor of Cosmopolitan, and for all those years. And I think Women's Day too. She had stuff in Women's Day. It was like how to in the mid 70s, and then she by the 80s she had her own business. She had her own boutique. Her designs graced the covers of every single fashion magazine you can name, from Elle to Mademoiselle to Glamour, etc., etc. She had celebrities like Madonna, Rosie Perez, everybody wearing her stuff. and what's her name, Marla Maples, and Christy Brinkley. And she didn't make that much money, but she was a name in the biz, and when she was alive and went during her heyday. And her biggest idea ever was this mandala T-shirt, and she used to sell them through mail order. Then all of a sudden, this mass manufacturing guy from the garment district just steals the idea, and she's walking down the street, seeing these things left and right, and she says, "Excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. I just have to see the back of the label of your of the thing you're wearing." And these women are like, "What? This is a crazy lady accosting me on the street." And then she sees who it is, and she knows it's this manufacturer. So she goes up to him, confronts him. "What the hell are you doing? You take my design." And he says, that in fashion, all you got to do is change one stitch, and it's a new design. And then he was laughing at her, and he asked her, like, at a different time he saw her, she was like tabling at the Javits or something, and he comes up and he's like, "You have any new designs for me?" Ha ha ha, with the cigar.
Damn.
And so it's cold-hearted world out there. There's plenty of bootleggers anyway, even if you were gonna just be blatant. But if you change the idea, it depends on the industry. You could really get away with a lot. And I'm not that up on the fashion world, but I know that people like Ralph Lauren and Calvin Klein and all these guys, what they do is they bootleg their own stuff before it hits the streets, so that nobody else can bother, and that will bother. And that's why you see so many like Calvin Klein T-shirts selling for like $5, because
Wow.
because
I know that.
because they figured out that you're better off just having a low end version of it, and you send it out to all those low end stores, because they're gonna do it anyway, with illegitimate, I don't know, pressings or editions or whatever they call it when you're making a new shirt design. Yeah, yeah. So it depends what industry you're in, but music. We got the famous "My Sweet Lord" lawsuit where George Harrison, paid, and that same story was repeated so many times. Marvin Gaye and Pharrell and Blurred Lines, all this stuff, comes down to lawyers and courts. So it
So
really
yeah, let's move over to the Tableau, if or what you had my brain so stuck inside the identity of this thing. So I until we do have an official what do we call it?
right. Well,
Here
people
it
are like, "What are they
is.
talking about?" People are like, "What are they talking about?" So for the not it wasn't for
Here
the
it is.
ICC.
Do you see it, Jake? Do you see it?
Yeah, it's a little light, but you can kind of see it. Maybe we need to put in some separator lines for all the little boxes. But imagine, if you will, these could be considered like trading card, boxes. But the idea was I wanted to have all the main characters from our end of the world timeline in one handy dandy place. I was actually going to submit a design to an exhibition at the Metropolitan Museum of Art that was for New York City art teachers, but I didn't get it finished in time. I was going to like color it and ink it, and then leave part of it like not colored and not inked, so that to make it like a process thing on purpose. But it didn't work out. What I did, and I sent it to Kurt, was I finished the pencils pretty tight, except of course for the panel borders. And I wanted to just have something that I can show to people to explain, what's going on in this timeline, because our Turbo comic takes place in the year I want to say like 2240 something. I'd have to take a look, but what happens before then? And so we take it from the 2100s all the way to the 2200s. And and it's difficult when you're starting to put years on things, because then you're like, you're set in stone, and everything's got to match up, and you got to really do the math on stuff, right? Like, if Esoterra is Elevena's mother, then Esoterra has to be born, then Elevena has to be born at some point when Esoterra is of childbearing age. But then again, in the future, there might be, test tube babies, and so, it's everything has to be like, thought out like that on a timeline, and so it's a big undertaking. But we're doing it, and to make it easier, I wanted to have kind of like this chronological. I called it a tableau, but it's more like an index, I think. And because a tableau is like a bunch of figures that are arranged for a scene or a photo. So that's not exactly what we're doing. But I like the alliteration of turbo tableau, but turbo index, picture, chart, whatever. It doesn't sound as good. But anyway, so Kurt and I are going to be unpacking it little by little, and we are going to be giving you a better look at each area week by week, starting with the first week where we can talk about the first panel. Somebody told me, like, we should just make those trading cards, but I don't know about the trading card scene. I heard that at IC3 right. I heard that IC3 that somebody's doing some kind of trading card thing, and they go around to tables and they ask all the contributors to make like a trading card for their project or something. I don't know. I've never liked trading cards because they're so small. It's like one little panel, and I don't know. Do you have any trading cards, Kurt?
Not anymore. I basically gave them away.
Yeah.
Just didn't. I think there was just such a. I do remember it must have been like 95, 96. I had done a bunch for some up and coming like characters, and the thing that kind of frustrated me the most about doing the trading cards, it was like it always felt like that was the thing that they cared more about than the goddamn comic book. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
yeah. Trading cards.
It's like, if you're going to merchandise something, have something. Like, I never understood, well, I should say after that, after the 90s and a lot of that kind of like cart before the horse kind of nonsense, where people were trying to make an entirely merchandised existence of a thing that doesn't exist yet. I was like, dude, don't bother. I mean, if you have an opportunity to merchandise something, let somebody else do it. Let them pay you a couple $100 or something for the license to be able to make a series of cards and see what they can do with it. But I wouldn't put any time or energy into it. There's nothing saying you can't lift things off of the already established work and then making. But once again, nah, it's Beanie Baby bullshit.
Yeah, well, there is like reinventing the wheel if you're getting into an area that you don't already know, and I hear you, but but anyway, regardless what we do, we have these panels, and we're going to go over them one at a time, so that people can get a better sense of what is on our Substack, because for each one of those characters or each one of those panels, it might be a character, it might be a group. We have a lot of writing on the Substack. I clicked on the Quantum Druids, for example. There's like 20 pages. If you would hit print on that, it would be like, okay, you could be printing out 20 pages here. And, a couple of pages, like maybe 2, 3, 4 pages of that would be illustrations. But, we've been writing a lot. And so our potential for compiling this and turning it into zine pages or some kind of fun pamphlet or paperback or whatever, it's all possible. So we can do a segment on the first panel anytime you want, Kurt, but What else is on the rundown for today? I have a note here that I was going to tell the story of the Staples stores. This got held over from last week, but let me bring something over here. Oh wait, I think I have a copy here. Right. So everybody knows you can go to your local Staples or your local Kinko's or your local digital output place. You know, sometimes there's like a graphics company or a sign company or something. And I said, well, I got to have some prints for the show because we finalized the masthead for the cover of Turbo Pit Fighter #1. Here it is right here. Special preview. This is the only place you can see this right now. And
you have that as a standalone? You have that as a standalone?
Standalone what?
The Turbo Pit Fighter logo.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah.
I remember you working with something. We had a bunch of sketches last year.
Yeah, I have
that looks very close to that, but
yeah, I have a grayscale of it. We put this in the back matter in grayscale. Remember?
Yeah, it was small, wasn't it? It was like super small.
Well, yeah, the original. I mean, the file is big, and so here it is scaled up.
All right, so I do have a copy of it. Then where is it?
Right, that's the same. That's the same thing there. Yeah,
the same thing.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
Right. I mean, you got to stretch it and distort it and recolor it. I think I went back to the line art on that, to make the turbo cover here. And, I had to decide. I was playing around with, do I want to make this colorful or not? I decided to make it the color, the gray and burgundy of her striped shirt, somewhat. I mean, this might be a little darker, but I tried it a couple different ways. And this could be changed at any time. I mean, if we were get picked up by a publisher, let's say, it would have Doom magazines, maybe somewhere small, and then it would have the publisher. But so I was going to print some of these out, and these cost, if you go to if you have a nice file and you have it on your computer, all colorized, high resolution, right? I would say try to make it 300 DPI at size. Although this is probably forced a little bit bigger, especially for the poster I had made. But I go to Staples and I say, I'd like some color printouts made, 11 by 17. These are under $2 a piece. So if you sell them for $5, that's a great little markup, I guess. Sometimes people want it signed or whatever. And they were like, all right. So they printed it out just from the regular Xerox machine, the color Xerox machine, whatever they call it. And I was like, ooh, that's a little bit dark. Can you brighten it a little bit? Like just, one click. So they brightened it up, brightness contrast. And then I was like, okay, I approve this one right here. I'd like, 10 of these made, 5 on matte and 5 on glossy. And they were like, okay, come back on Saturday, blah, blah, blah. I was also having the poster made and laminated and all that. So, I had my whole order in. I get back to Staples on Saturday, and it's all the dark ones. And I have an example of it over here if you want me to grab it. But, I was like, oh, no, these are all the dark ones. I approved the light ones. And then they were like, well, it was a different machine or whatever. And I was like, yeah, he's bullshitting because you just didn't use the file that I approved. So they were like, all right. Yeah, so they go, tell you what, come on back in about 2 hours and we'll reprint the job. So not only did I get the light ones, I also got the dark ones for free. So I have twice the amount here. Let's see. And I cannot tell you, sorry about the crinkling. I cannot tell you how many times this happens at Kinko's or Staples or something where it doesn't come out right. And here's the dark ones. I think, yeah, is this the dark one? Yeah. Wait, hold on. I can't even tell that. No, that's the light one. Let me find an example of the dark one. So I could sell them both, and I could, if somebody's buying one, I could just give them a choice. Do you want the dark one or the light one? When the light ones are gone, we'll have the dark ones gone. So basically, this made my price go down half price, and now I ended up with 20 of these. Yeah, like here. This must be the dark one because you really kind of lose like some of this going on. I know it's hard to see with the glare, but you know, some of the contrast in her hair, you know, it's actually showing up better on my computer screen on Riverside than it is in real life. But suffice it to say, you know, when you go to Staples, you got to be very clear and put things in right. Oh, right. So here it is lighter. This is much better. This is much clearer. And what about you, Kurt? Do you prefer the matte or the glossy when you're getting these things? Because there's something, yeah, there's something to be said for both. And for folks, if you're gonna be at the show, I'm also gonna have this, the cover of Pearl White Malady. This is the comic that I make with my kids, and you know, the cool thing is this comic is completely made already. All I have to do is just do the inside front covers and the inside front and back covers, and then I could get it printed. And you know, I have a mental note. I want to talk to Alex Turbin about that because he's a printer now. He's a home printer, and he might be able to beat the street when it comes to getting something printed for me. Anyway, back to the grind. I'm doing this last panel here. So, what else do we want to get to? So, Kurt, you and I are going to be seeing each other in person for the first time in probably 20 years. I think
25.
Right, 25. Well, Lisa was pregnant the last time we saw each other.
No. The story goes. The last time I actually saw you was, I think you guys were just about ready to for your second daughter.
Oh, so we had the one kid, and
Yeah.
okay, we were just about to get the second, right? Because we crashed over at your place on our way down to like Florida or something, didn't we?
Yes, yeah, and but I think that was before.
Long time, man. Long time.
Yeah, it's I mean, but it was like, you know, just so everybody knows in clarity, it was just, you know, Jake was building a family and I had no interest in building a family.
Right.
So we really didn't have that, you know, and Jake could speak to this better than me. It takes a lot of energy to bring up a family. So, you know, it was just kind of just things, you know, slowly like slipped away. And, you know, I definitely went off in a different direction, you know, just for my own making money and the such. So, you know, it was no big deal. But like when you called me like 3 years ago, more than 3 years ago, I just picked up the phone. I was like, yeah. And expecting you to say exactly what you said, which was like, hey, you want to work on because that was always our relationship, you know. I mean, not, you know, it was not to be, we don't enjoy hanging out and talking and, you know, bullshitting and all that kind of stuff like guys do. But we were always scheming. That was the 95% of our conversations, no matter when we were getting together. It was about like, what if we did this? What if we did this? What if we did this and we did that? You know, we were looking for those opportunities. And once again, you know, until the internet, instant messaging had come across, you know, it was either me coming up to you or us spending very quick 15-minute phone calls because it costs like $1.35 to, you know, talk to you in New York, long distance charge.
Yeah, well, for 15 years,
or actual letters.
Yeah, well, for 15 years, we were just like, you know, keeping tabs on the other one on like, you know, Facebook or Instagram. Or like, you know, that's the thing about these social media apps. It's like, you know, your friends are there, but you don't talk to them, you know.
Yeah, it's
so I picked up the phone. Actually, you might not be remembering it exactly right, but I called you because there was all this new technology happening, and there was all this like buzz about NFTs going crazy. They were in the news, and it was going crazy with the monkeys and the apes and just stupidity. And I was wondering about if Kurt was into any of that nonsense garbage, but we just ended up talking about other stuff. I mean, I still think that digital delivery has a lot of potential, but the NFTs, blockchain, the Beanie Babies, the orchids, the speculation, the investment, it's a real weird thing. I mean, when you have these cons, you have some people going around the tables and they're saying, oh, what can I buy from this guy that will make me money? Right. And there's because my keyboard player, Steve, he's a real talented musician and everything. And, he has a collection to die for. He's got FF1. He's got Amazing Fantasy. He's got X-Men 1. He's got Daredevil 1. He's got long runs of everything. He's got Giant Size #1, and he's not selling them anytime soon. He has them all GGC graded, all that. But every time I ask him, like, oh, who's the artist on that one or whatever, he doesn't know anything about the art, the story, nothing. It's just like, this is going to make him a boatload of money. You want to know? He bought a lot of these things. These are like 6.5s and 6.0s. He bought these for like less than $3,000, like 25 years ago, and now they're worth 10 times that. So it's
it's speculative though. When anybody tries to tell me that they bought something and 10 years later it's worth
25 years
amount of money, I don't know. Because I don't know a lot about the whole CGC thing, at all. But I do hear murmurings, with the comic book shows I watch on YouTube, where there's a lot of like contention with that, and whether that's actually destroying the book in a sense, or whatever. It's
Well, one
speculative market is always based on who's willing to pay you for what it is that you have. There's no guarantee.
Right, but you can look at these auction prices and you can see FF1 has really gone crazy, and Spider-Man 1.
I'm not saying that you're not going to make money on your money, but to just say, hey, he could get 10 times the amount of what he got for it, I don't know.
Well, this is what he's telling me on the car ride to practice. I don't know either, because and when it's
don't sell it.
When something's an auction. Yeah, well, he is selling off some of the lesser stuff, like Ghost Rider #1, Power Man #1, first appearance, a lot of keys, because I think he's anyway, yeah. So, but the big ticket things, it is a business investment for some people, and people in cons, it's crazy to see. You might have some, like, just pure investor types there, and looking for old comics, valuable comics. I mean, everyone's looking for, like, a needle in a haystack. Oh man, I found something in a dollar box that's worth $25 at least. But there's every angle that people are coming up at this, and as the creative person, my angle is, oh wow, what can I get that will inspire me? What can I get that will, it's fascinating and marvelous from a art perspective and a storytelling perspective. How can I learn? And because if I see a comic, especially in the dollar bin, if I see a comic and it just gives me one little reminder of some idea, I'll buy it. And then every time I come across that comic in my bin, I'm like, oh yeah, I got to do this. Like I want to have like more light colors against dark backgrounds, in character design, stuff like that. Whatever strikes you, and then there's just hours and hours and hours of reading, where you can go through your boxes and catch up and say, wow, I haven't read this one at all. Also, I went to my storage unit yesterday. Kurt, this is an
Yeah.
item. We should have a bell every time we change the thing. But um, here's an
Or
item.
like
A reset. A reset sound.
like that.
Oh, that's good. Right. That sounds like
Oh, here,
Law and
wait.
Order. Right. Right. So
I can find some more.
yeah, I gotta get a soundboard, man. So I go to storage unit and I'm like, because I just wanted to get this big. I have this big white cardboard, and it's good to put on an easel so you could like pin things to it, and you can have your display behind you. Um, but I was like, oh, I got some boxes of comics here, and I'm looking to sell them. So I went through them, and I'm like, oh, I'm not selling that. I pulled out like Zap number 0. I pulled out like Cheech Wizards. I'm like, I don't know. I might sell them, but I want to read them at least once. So I have this decent box of comics that I'm two boxes of comics that I'm bringing, and hopefully there's table space. But if worst comes to worst, you always have the floor, and it should be interesting. If someone wants to flip through something, I'm open for trades or make a bundle. We give you a package deal, so we'll be having some of that at our table.
Give me a package deal.
And that might bring over a different element, because then you're dealing with people. Oh, you got some used comics here for sale, and the problem with that is, like, I don't have anything priced, and it's not in bags or anything. So I got to tell people, like, please be
$1.
right. There's definitely a lot of dollar stuff in there, but
Give me $1.
what I could easily do is make one box a dollar box, and then the other box it'll just be like, ask me for a package deal, but don't go one by one. Like, get a whole stack together, and then we'll cut you a deal, because I'm looking to blow these out. Kurt, I have I have a PSA for people. And do you have a storage unit that you pay for? No. Okay, because that our buddy Dan has one storage unit or more. I don't know.
One.
Right, because you went with him to the storage unit, right? And you got to see.
We haven't gone yet. We've been hitting.
Oh, you've been
comic book. Yeah, comic. As a matter of fact, yesterday was Chud, which is it's all $1 and under comics right outside of just in Baltimore. But because I'm heading to this place here, IC3 next week, I just don't have the time, money, or
right.
So. But
sounds like
another one. There's going to be another one in the summer. So if you want to come down, and the three of us, that would be. I think we would have a ball doing that.
Right. That sounds like fun. But yeah. So I just have a PSA for anybody that has a storage unit. Right. When you have a storage unit, you might think that you are saving your sanity by not having your house have columns that you have to walk through like on Hoarders, but what you're doing is you're making the cost of owning that stuff a lot higher on yourself. And if to take for example, let's say you have 10 boxes of comics. Inside every box there's 100 comics, and you're paying maybe $100 a month. Maybe you're only paying 50, depends where you live. But every month that goes by is money that you're paying. You have to compare it to. You can't compare it to, like, what would it be like if I had a bigger house and I had to pay higher rent or something. What you need to compare it is, how much would I save if I threw everything in the garbage right now? Right? Because the reason I'm saying this is because I have a pal, and he had a storage unit for more than 20 years. And it was in Yonkers, so it was costing a lot of money. It's expensive there. He started it out at a teaser rate, and then they bump you up, and next thing you know, you're paying like $180 a month, right? And it's not even a big unit. It's just because you didn't move it, and they just keep, raising the rates.
You don't want to move it. That's the whole hook.
No, you don't want to move it, and if you don't have a truck, if you don't have a truck to take it all to some other storage unit, like like I've already I've learned since I sold my house, we've already bounced between two storage places because we were at one place for a year and then they raised the rates. Then you go to the other place and you find out how it works. You just keep getting the teaser rate, prepay for a year, and then they raise that. Then you got to go back to the other place and you're just ping ponging around. And this is because the corporate world sucked, and people might do this with with your credit cards, right? Like, oh, I got 0% interest on this. Let me move all my stuff over to this card, and then I have 0% interest or low interest on this. I don't want to pay 20% interest. So it's the same thing, but you have to sit down with a cocktail napkin and a pencil, and you just have to say, okay, today I'm putting this stuff in storage. Today's date is 2025. If I threw this in the garbage, you lose everything, obviously, but your cost is zero. Now, what would your cost be if you sold everything at the desired price that you wish you could get for it, right? But it was like a year later or 2 years later or 5 years later, right? And would you basically make the whole thing meaningless because you're eating your profits before you even sell it, right? And that is called cutting your losses, right? But a lot of people have a nostalgic feeling for the stuff that's in their storage, and you just like, oh, well, there's going to be a brighter day when I have a bigger house and I'll be able to like, that's what I'm doing. Like I got records and comics in there and like, some old blankets and whatever, it's not a lot of stuff in there, but, we do a record fair every year. And then, and that's why I'm bringing these comics to the show. Like I want to sell these boxes, get rid of them, because if I could then only have the comics in my house, I'd be a lot better off. It's always good to, get rid of stuff. It's healthy to get rid of stuff, especially comics. You want to keep the good ones and get rid of the ones that you don't really care about, you don't read, you don't want them. So, that's why it's great to go to Comic Cons, and that's exactly what we're going to be having. But, I don't know, I must have like 15, 20 boxes of comics altogether. And so I'm only bringing 2, so all this is doing is just, relieving the pressure a little, so that I don't get put on hoarders by my kids or something. I never watched that show, but
Oh, I can't.
Well, my mom was a hoarder, and my buddy Rick is a hoarder. He's the first one to tell you. On the other hand, he's got some incredible stuff, and not just records, and he's got graphic novels, he's got autographs, all kinds of stuff. So, it's part of what we're doing here is what do I want to say? Mental therapy. It's like therapy, and this includes counseling our listeners. I know there's a lot of people out there listening to this right now. I'm going to do ASMR. I know there's a lot of people listening right now that you have boxes and boxes of comics that you're not reading. You haven't touched them for 5 years. That's the rule. That my wife says 3-year rule, but I say 5. Bring them downtown, and sell them off or trade them. Go to a comic store, trade them. Go to a swap meet, something. Like, for God's sake, you don't want to end up, with where you don't have space, and then your house catches fire, and it's just like an inferno because it's all paper. So that was my PSA, and you could play this. Play the sound effect again to
get us out of it. Well, look, we're at an hour on this one. I know you have to jump out early today. We want to record for next week. Do you want to jump over and record for next week, or?
Well, yes. So we have a choice. We could just do another turbo. I'm almost done with this page. So if I move on, I'm moving on to this page. It's going to be fun. The mushroom cloud. But we also have a really good segment that we're going to tape, and it's really exciting, and it has to do with original art and an auction house, and the prices realized for the sale that happened, where there was some original cartoon art and original a lot of other original stuff. But I'd like to go over that because there's some Jack Kirby, there's some Matt Groening, Gary Panter, some really big names. There's even a Keith Haring in there that sold for like $6,000, and I gotta you folks, you gotta see the pictures of this to see what people are paying. Wow, that was a funny sound effect. So yeah, I'd like to tape that episode. I'm all juiced up if you want to tape that episode.
Okay.
But you have a say too. What do you're good with that, Kurt?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm fine
So
with
we're
that.
gonna get up, and we're gonna have a special edition posted eventually, and it's gonna be called Jake and Kurt go over the Howie Pyro auction. He was a musician. He was in D-Generation. He was a guitar player, but he was also a DJ. He was cool guy, and he passed, and his estate is being sold off. 500 lots were sold off like a week ago, and I put some bids on stuff, but I got outbid pretty much almost everything. So Kurt and I are going to go over the sale, just some highlights, and it's going to be really fun to see because for those listening, when you die, your kids are going to sell your stuff for pennies on the dollar, and
It's all dumpster.
you're gonna roll in your grave. So this is like what happens, right? This is what happens in life, the circle of life. So we want to show you that, and I was in the business. I worked for an auctioneer for 10 years on and off. So this is also how things work, and we're going to talk to you about the fees involved, and then investment versus just owning something for fun, versus what are the values of things and how you can snipe at these auctions, if you do your homework right. So look forward to that. In the meantime, don't forget to check out our other channels. We have Comics That Influence, which is where we do flip throughs, and I'm all backed up for our next issue of that, our next taping of that. And we have our indie creator interviews, which have been going fantabulously. Last week we spoke with a retailer. We are going to be doing some incredible interviews in the weeks to come following the show, the ICC show. So look out for that. But we already have a rotation of interviewees, including some coming up now, that is to die for. All these indie creators doing all this great stuff. I know Pat Higgins is on the schedule now. So
yeah, I saw him last night.
Yeah, so that's all the community too. And so folks, you can look at those past interviews on our Indie Creator Exchange, which is our other channel. And right now you're watching our flagship Making Turbo Pit Fighter. So those are our offerings. Last, we'll just mention our Substack. If you like sci-fi writing and reading, you can go to Doom Mags. Just put that in Google. Or you could put that in doommags.substack.com if you're technical. But please put Doom Mags in Google. It helps us. And check it out. There's free writing, pages and pages and pages, chapters and chapters and chapters. And you can see what the turbo world is like. And you can judge, are these guys nuts? Or do they maybe have something going on? Or both. So,
well, Jake, I will see you either Friday night or Saturday morning next week.
That's right. Yeah, we got to talk about it. Yeah, because I didn't book a room for Friday night, but I have booked a room for Saturday night, and maybe I should.
My room's got a floor, so
right.
Bring a blanket if you want to come Friday night.
I'll bring my sleeping bag and my onesie. Bring my
Your Captain America. Your Captain.
No, I got Pokemon. Yeah, but
Pokemon. All right.
But yeah, no, it's been a while since Kurt and I roomied up together. But yeah, folks, we'll see you. Next week is going to be an exciting show, and we're going to have something posted for you. So no worries. Talk to you all later, and see you in the funny papers.
All right, later. All right, Let me pee. I gotta grab something downstairs too. I'll be right back.
I'm all uploaded.